out looking for these cars, they're still reasonably affordable, but the biggest thing you have to look for is rust. You know, these came over from Japan with rust on them. In particular, the frame rails rust out. That was the first thing to go. The front cross members and the hood supports also rusted. You know, and then it would just spread into a cancer. It was like right across. The engines are very soft.
Hey everybody, I will be giving away the car addiction window stickers to one lucky subscriber every month, so please hit the subscribe button right away.
Solid. You know, if you're buying a solid car, look at the engine and if it's running great, but typically you might want to see if the valves are adjusted right. Look at the carburetors, the SU carbs. They would, over time, they'd get sloppy and they wouldn't run well. So there's lots of things that could go wrong, but you know, look at it as a 40-year-old car now. So there's always a lot to rebuild, but look for a solid car if you can. That's the biggest expense. Saying that, there's a lot of new parts now available, aftermarket parts out of England. Even the all sorts of underhood, sheet metal now, firewall, everything is available, and it's actually reasonably priced. But how much do you really want to spend, and how much time do you want to put into it? That's the key factor. As far as the suspension and the brakes, you know, there's nothing really to worry about there. Everything's available in aftermarket. If you want to keep it stock, you can easily keep it stock with replacement parts that are not performance oriented. If you want to go full out, there's a few companies that will that do create suspension components that greatly take the car into the future. They really do improve handling and rideability to near drivability to near race car specs. That wasn't available a few years ago. And once again, interior wise, there's a lot of parts now that are available from the aftermarket that wasn't available even 10 years ago. It really has changed. These cars have come into their own, where we used to make parts almost like cottage industry, where now it's becoming a norm for actual companies to come out and refabricate the parts that were available for many, many years. As far as looking out at the back of the car, the differentials, they come out with either a R180 or an R200. The R200 came out on the later cars. It's a beefier differential, but for what it's worth, they're all good differentials. You don't often hear of a differential blowing up on somebody unless they put in a lot more horsepower. The R200s will take as much horsepower as you can throw at it. If you put 500 horsepower into this car, the R200s will handle that. You got to keep in mind that these are half shafts or independent rear suspensions with half shafts, so you do have U-joints at all four corners. They do get sloppy as well. Not a big deal on a stock car. They're cheap to replace. If you really want a lot of horsepower, you can have a CV conversion kit like I do, and it becomes bulletproof at that point. The cars are relatively light. They come with disc brakes in the front and drum brakes in the rear, aluminum drums. For all intents and purposes, that's more than enough for the car. In fact, I've tracked this car many times with that setup. There's a lot of different conversions out there available. You can get the Toyota truck disc brakes that are direct bolt-on for the fronts. They really do improve it. And there's lots of rear disc conversions as well. But for what it's worth, the car is light enough at 2,400 pounds that you really, day-to-day driving, you really don't need the additional braking power.